But the thing about the unknown is you've been in the unknown the whole time. You've just been telling stories. Notice this, all of your security that you think about isn't really security. It helps you feel comfortable. And then when you find out it changes, then you really freak out. But it's interesting, if you don't have stories that you're relying on, there's so much more fluidity. Things can just change. People can like you and people cannot like you. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is happening now. Again, this speaks to the play of what's called faith. What do you have faith in? Do you have faith in your ideas? What you think you know? Or do you have faith in the truth, which is the unseen? You see, the world is trying to trust in what they can see. Images. And you always find out that images are not real. So there's always disappointment. And to clarify the play of this faith and trust, I had this experience the other day. I was on Wednesdays, I give satsang in Estoril, which is about an hour outside of Lisbon, and I was coming back into the city. Got off the train, I was waiting for a bus, and the bus was late. I had this thought of, do I trust that the bus will come, or do I trust that I will be fine regardless? You see the profound difference there? If I trust that I'm going to get what I want, then I'm putting my faith in something in the world, rather than realizing that I can let go of if it comes or not, and trust that what I am is taken care of. And this is something that we often tend to do, is we trust for things, right? We have faith in a thing, which isn't really faith or trust at all. Like, I trust that this will work out, which is almost like having an idea of what it means for it to work out. And it won't be that. It'll be something else entirely. And hasn't that been the story of your life? How many times have you had an idea about where you were going and life did something else entirely? In many cases, better than you could have ever planned. Taking care of you in ways that you could have never anticipated. Which is hilarious, because I look at my life and I see nothing has gone how I thought it was going to go, how I thought it was going to go, but yet life exposed something profound that was closer to what I actually wanted, not even knowing that I wanted it. Interesting. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, why would I be so concerned about where it's going? Why would I be so concerned about it going where I think it should go, if that has never worked for me? What it does is it invites a trust. It says, okay, throughout my whole life, life's been taking care of me. Life knows. My mind says I want all these things. I've played that game a million times. But deep down, the trust is that life knows what I want, even before my mind knows what I want. And so I give myself to life. And the world is so full of playful things to trust in. I think it's probably the backbone of marketing. And they always fail. There's such a vastness beyond your own personal identity. Such a vastness. For example, on the way over here from the train or whatever, Hilly and I were walking through the park, and we sat down on a bench, and it was like all of a sudden the park became the Garden of Eden, right? Like the most beautiful park in the whole world. Is that really true? No. But there can be such a spaciousness within you that sees a beauty that you didn't see before. I mean, imagine you're in a park and you're so consumed by thoughts. What are those thoughts consumed about, by the way? Who you think you are, right? You can't have such a spaciousness and an openness when you're preoccupied with surviving something that doesn't exist. But as that subsides, you start to open up to what's actually present. You're like, holy shit, this is fucking amazing. The birds become little miracles flying around. The trees become their own universes. It's like, wow, this is incredible. And that recognition of the presence is to see what's true all the time. It's always that. You might have those moments where you're walking down the street, and even if you're in traffic or whatever, all of a sudden, holy shit, life is amazing. Or you're driving thinking about last week's argument with your mother. Not seeing any of it. It's really fascinating. Understand, to see that in this way that it's all God. There's zero judgment from God that it hasn't been seen. Right? There's just been that, oh my dear, I love you. You know, it's just been this presence that's just waiting for you to see. Yeah. You see, in a way, in speaking in this language, you can say that you can recognize why God would allow life to be life. Because everything we think is happening isn't really happening. You see that? It's like the human being. Like, for example, and again, this is very simplistic, but the principle expands into the complex. It's like you're arguing with the leaves falling because they're making a mess. And you can really think, why the fuck do leaves fall? This is stupid. I gotta come out here every week and clean this shit up. Right? You can like really have an argument, one that you believe. And then you realize, oh, the leaves fall to feed the ground. If the leaves didn't fall, there'd be no ground for me to stand on. Oh, life knew what it was doing. And actually, I see that my pain wasn't really about the leaves anyway. You see? And now you can see, in a way, why God lets the leaves fall. Because God knows that your argument with it isn't really about that. What's your argument really about? Yourself. You judge yourself. To say in the most direct way is you don't like yourself, and so you look out into the world and you don't like things in the world. But as you begin to see what you are, you see that there's nothing to not like. Literally nothing to not like. You see, it's this idea that it's personal. This is what makes the whole thing a disaster. You notice it's like your neighbor can get cancer and it doesn't bother you so much, right? Your family member gets cancer, it bothers you a little bit. You get cancer, you're pissed, right? The more personal it becomes, the bigger the problem. The more you identify with it. You see, the reason it bothers you is if a family member gets it is because you identify with that person. And so it touches you. It touches your sense of who you are. If it's somebody you don't know, you don't pull any identification from them. And so it doesn't bother you. And so whatever bothers you in the world, you're pulling identification from it. And again, God on all signs, it's like seeing God is the lightning and also the tree. And so when the lightning strikes the tree, it's God touching God. Why? Because that's what has to happen in order for life to be life. Do you see how you could say, and I say this super gently, do you see how when lightning strikes a tree, you can say that the lightning is being violent to the tree? You can see that. That's a way of perceiving. But is it true? Is it true that lightning can be something called violent? Or is lightning being what it is? And the tree being what it is? And even deeper than that, lightning isn't your idea of lightning, and a tree isn't your idea of a tree. What is anything? Well, if you zoom in on it, you find out that it's all the same thing. It's energy, vibrating at a different pattern. And you project identification onto the different patterns of vibration so that you can find yourself. So when lightning strikes a tree, it's energy touching energy. And then you tell a story about it, about how it either supports who you think you are or destroys who you think you are. And all the while, nothing's actually happening. Which again is why everything is allowed. You see, the argument, and again, none of it's wrong. It's all, again, the question is what's really true. All suffering, all which creates restriction, lack of joy, has to do with identification. Identification of who you think you are. And when that identification gets threatened, you suffer. Because you ever notice suffering in a way feels like you're dying? What's dying? Who you think you are. And every moment you've suffered, what you found out is, I thought I was this, I'm seeing that I'm not. And so now I don't know who I am. And if you argue with that, then there's a death. The human mind thinks there's a lot of things going on. There's not. There's one thing going on. You can call it the one, you can call it God, you can call it the source, whatever. Whatever you call it, it's not that. But the one thing that's going on is what you are. You are that one thing. And since we're on a Christian theme, that's the second coming of Christ. Is to wake up and see that you are that one. That is Christ's return. And so in a very real way, see how your world, what you experience in this life is your world. You literally cannot experience anything outside of your own world. If somebody tells you about their world, that's happening in your world. Right? You cannot get outside of your own world, no matter where you go. It's always your world. And so in that, the transformation of the world, which is your world, is the transformation of how you see that world, which starts in a transformation of how you see yourself. Because how you see the world shows you how you see you. And so, in the most real way, when you wake up, the whole world wakes up. That's the transformation that everyone's looking for. They're looking for the world to wake up, not realizing they're talking to themselves. Because it's like waking up and realizing that the forest is perfectly placed. You know, a good visual of that is, imagine you're in the forest and you say, this is fucking crazy. There's all this chaos, right? Things are fighting with each other, da 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 da. It's just noise, man. We need to clean this up, fix it. And then you wake up, which is like zooming out and seeing the whole thing. And you say, oh my God, this is gorgeous. Look how extraordinary this is. It's beautiful. Did you change anything? No. Did you stop the bugs from fighting? No. That's all part of it. And same with the planet. You zoom in on it, you say, what the fuck's happening here? But you zoom out and you look at the whole thing. Oh my God, that's extraordinary. So beautiful. Zoom back in, fucking chaos. Now, what happens when you see the bigger picture, so to speak? When you see that all is well, when you see how beautiful it is, do you see how you re-enter that world with love? You re-enter that world seeing beauty. And so what do you offer that world? Love and beauty. What flows through you? Love and beauty. What do you feel? Love and beauty. If another person has conflict in their suffering, what do you offer them? Love and beauty. Is it wrong that they're suffering? No, it's an opportunity for love to be shared. That's beautiful. Which in a way kind of makes sense, like I do the work that I do. Because sometimes the question is, why don't you just go do your own party thing? Why are you just sitting with people? Oh, it makes perfect fucking sense. Love and beauty. I couldn't see myself doing anything else. And in the same way, it's happening in your life where you feel pulled to love people in some way or another. It can be in the most professional looking job. Doesn't matter. But your presence, your devotion is now about connecting with other human beings than it is about getting something to satisfy a self-importance. It's like, what do I get out of this? Doesn't matter. How can I serve you? Very practical. Very, very practical. We say, man, it really looks like the world's waking up. Who are you talking to? Or you look out in the world and you say, man, these people are really unconscious. Who are you talking to? You mean you're seeing them in an unconscious way? Yeah. You see, this discovery is so profoundly intimate for the one. This discovery has nothing to do with anybody else. It's for the one. That's the one who is awake, which is you. Which is funny because if you buy a new car, you go out for a drive and you're like, wait, everyone has this car. This is what, there's some sort of name for it. Buy a new car, then you start noticing that car more often. Not that everyone else went out and bought the same car you did, but because it's in your awareness, you see it more. And so as you start to see yourself wake up, it starts looking like other people are waking up. But is that really happening? Yeah. I'm sure you can find another person who thinks the world's going to hell. Mm-hmm. Because what do they see? Themselves going to hell. And so what's really happening? Nothing. Stillness. Infinite, eternal stillness. I think we've counted 40-some billion years, but I can promise you it goes way beyond that. It's infinite. And so enjoy it. Breathe it in. And then see what happens.